Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids, and today we're talking about building a survival kit from Lowe's. Now, why would you want to build a survival kit from Lowe's? First off, for me, the challenge of it. Can I build a legitimate, helpful survival kit from just one store like Lowe's? Secondly, the reality is when you build survival kits, sometimes it takes a long time to purchase one item from this website, one item from this store, and if you don't have that amount of time, sometimes it's helpful just to go to one store and see what you can acquire to build a survival kit. And so what I want to show you is right here in front of us, the survival kit I built from Lowe's. The price point for this was a little over $100. I'm going to talk through the different items, why I chose them, and then I want to hear your feedback. What do you like about it? What would you change? And then we'll have that discussion in the comments section. Let me readjust the camera now and show you what I got for the survival kit. All right, as we kick things off, let me share a couple thoughts. First off, you can get full-size backpacks from Lowe's to carry your tools and your other gear, but I was really thinking a survival kit about this big. So this is about 1 foot long by 7 inches, and when you get it stuffed full, it can be probably 2 or 3 inches deep. So this is one of the items I bought to carry the gear. The second thing I'll tell you is if you're gonna buy some Ziploc bags, you can't just buy 1 or 2, you have to buy a whole box. So you'll see part of the cost is gonna come in that, yeah, I may only use, say, 2 or 3 or 4 of these bags, but you gotta buy the whole box. So just a heads up on that. The last thing is I was thinking about a survival kit that I could put into a backpack for heading out into the woods, heading out to the wild. And so it can't be something huge, but even though it can't fit in this, I would definitely recommend picking up a tarp. So they've got tarps in different colors. Here's a brown one. Here's a blue one as well. So the nice thing about a tarp is you can just slide it down the back of your backpack, but another addition that I just want to mention to you. Okay, let's jump into the gear now. I already told you about my carrying case, which is this blue case made of some pretty durable materials, got a nice zipper, has a little loop here so you could put a carabiner if you wanted to carry something. Obviously, this is made for, carrying tools and other things, so you've got a spot for a label there. You could put a label in there that says survival kit and even have a list of some of the items if you wanted to. The back side of this is just black, so you've got this blue side and then the black side as well. When it comes to a cutting tool, I went with a knife. Now you can pick up Leatherman, you can pick up Gerber multi-tools at Lowe's, but I went with this knife because I thought, I want a strong, sturdy knife. This one is stainless steel. It does come with a plastic sheath. I don't know much about this company, Lennox, but when I looked at the knife options, they were either folding options, multi-tools, or a full-fledged knife. And so for me, I'm going to choose a fixed blade. Even though I'm not super, familiar with the steel that they're using, it's just a generic stainless steel, or the company, I still felt good about this and thought it would offer me more options than just a tiny little blade that would come on something like a Leatherman, or that you would get on a, on a simple folding knife. So that's my knife option. Interestingly enough, when it comes to starting fire, they had a variety of options, but none of them are ideal for backpacking. So I got one of these. You're probably familiar. These are like those lighters you use to get your barbecue going. So I've got that as an option. And then what I got was I bought a box of matches. I took out a bunch of the matches and I put them inside a plastic bag, and then it's inside this plastic bag. Also in here, I got the striking section from the box. And so the original box was, it's probably, say, 3 or 4 inches long by 1 inch high by 2 inches across. Just takes up a lot of space, again, in this blue bag, so I didn't want to take up all the space. So I took it out, put the matches in here, and then I got some of these natural fire starters. And basically it's strips of kind of a woody material mixed in with some sort of resin and kind of a waxy substance. And so now I've got matches, I've got something to strike them against, I got a fire starter, and then I have this lighter as well. Now, there's a ton of different options you can get from Lowe's when it comes to getting things that will start a fire. But I wanted to go, simple, slick, and again, this is a relatively compact kit, so that's why I went with those 2 options. You can see here what I did was I took the matchbox, cut it into this shape, and then wrapped it in Gorilla Tape. And again, this is Gorilla Tape. I had to buy the entire roll to make this. Just to be realistic on what the cost would be, you can't buy 50 feet of Gorilla Tape in a tiny little amount. You got to buy the whole roll. So I've got about 50 feet of Gorilla Tape here wrapped around the match box, basically a portion of the matchbox. Gorilla Tape, great for repairs, great for medical purposes if you had to use it that way. So another item in the kit. Talk to you about food a little bit. So I got a wholesome medley. It's a bunch of like raisins, nuts, things like that. Good fats. It's going to give you some energy. Just good to have something simple that's not going to break down. That's not just going to give you like a quick sugar high. But I have that as one option. I also got a bunch of beef jerky. They did have like Slim Jims as far as like the, they're basically a jerky stick, but I wanted to get something that I thought was a little bit better. So I got the Alberto original beef jerky, and this right here, not super cheap, but I thought, I'm going to invest some money because if I'm stuck in the woods for a little bit of time, I'm going to want some sort of food for my survival kit. So there's some food right there. What else do I have here? Let's talk about water. I got this water. The reason I got this one is because they did have expensive Yeti containers, but they were vacuum sealed, meaning that they've got those 2 layers, so you can't really use them to cook over a fire. So I got this. I've got some water. If you put water in it and then you have it near the fire or hanging over the fire, you can still get the water heated up or even boil the water. I just didn't feel like, while the Yeti option was more expensive and it's more durable, I just didn't want to put that over the fire and thought I could save some money by doing this. So this comes with the water, and obviously you can use it as a container. The other thing is a lot of the Yeti stuff, they were like mugs with that cap that you put on, but it wasn't a full-fledged like twist it down, seal it type of carrying option. So there's water. I got a clear poncho. They had lots of different poncho options available, but each one got bigger and bigger and thicker and thicker. And again, for my relatively small carrying case, I just didn't feel like that was the best option. So I went with this very basic, one size fits most poncho, keep the rain off. Headlamps. I looked a bunch of different options. Coast was another brand they had there. I went with this. This is an Energizer. I like the options. You can see we've got a couple different setups. Turn it off. It does work off 3 AAA batteries, so I got some extra AAAs. So even if I use this all the way down to the end, I've got some backup AAAs. So there's my option as far as lighting. They do have flashlights and other options like that at Lowe's, but I thought headlamp is great because it keeps my hands free to to do the work that I want to do when I'm out there, say, in the woods. I did grab a thing of gum. Now this is sugar-free. It's not going to give me a whole lot of, it's not going to give me any energy, but just to have something that tastes good while you're out in the woods, a little extra something to kind of maybe boost your spirits if you're lost in the woods or in a survival scenario. So I got this cheap little option, but I think that could help out. Now, as far as cordage, I went with this. I got the black and orange option because I thought the orange would stand out, a little bit easier to see than just straight black or maybe a brown or a green. I think this is about 50 feet. I went with this instead of some heavier duty rope just because, again, it's more compact. There's lots of rope options, but I thought this would be the best option. I know how to work with paracord. I'm comfortable with it. I did grab a Sharpie. This is a great item for survival kits. I think sometimes it's underrated, but writing a note, even if it's on your hand, the back of your hand, your arm, leaving a note on a rock or a piece of bark or something like that, you can definitely use a Sharpie in a lot of different ways. So I got that. I did get 4 of these big nails. Now, the thing about these is you can get different sizes. You might want to get something even like maybe 2/3 or half the size of this. But this is a great option. You can use these as stakes if you needed to. They're not as long or maybe as beefy as some other stakes out there, but you could use them as stakes. They also offer you the option, find a rock, bang these into a tree, tie a rope, and now you've got basically a line to, throw a tarp over or something like that. So a lot of uses for these, for nails when you're out in the woods. Now, as far as covering, I talked about the tarp option before. I also got some drum liners. Now, these are bigger than your standard garbage bag. It's a nice size option. It's durable. I think I actually have 2 of these here. And you could maybe add even another one in there so you could put something on the ground and then something over you as well. Obviously, if you have a tarp, that's going to be nice as well. But compact, you can use it as a poncho. If your poncho rips, you can use it as a shelter. You can use it to collect water. Lots of different uses for this garbage bag. Over here, I decided to invest. Let me just move this real quick. I decided to invest a little bit more in some gloves. There were some cheaper gloves, but I went with these leather gloves. I just felt like something a little bit more durable is going to be good. This is also going to offer me a little bit more warmth if it's chilly outside. And, if I'm hiking, if I'm working on, pulling down branches to make a shelter like that, it's really good to keep your hands not just warm, but safe from getting all torn up. So that's why I got this. I mentioned my 3 batteries before. I'll just move those out of the way. I did get a hat. I'm here in New Hampshire. It's very cold in the colder seasons here in winter. So that's not only going to give me warmth, it's also going to be something so people can see me and say, okay, there's a person over there in the woods, which in a survival scenario, you want to get out as quickly as you possibly can. So here's a look at the kit when everything is just jammed into the bag. You can see I've got the knife attached to that little loop there. But everything does fit in. It's very snug. Like I said, a tarp would be great. We have to slide that down. Maybe the back of your backpack. You're definitely not going to fit it in this bag. Or you have to go with just, a much larger bag. But that's what it looks like when it's all put into the carrying bag. All right, let me speak to some of the questions that people might ask. When I make kits like this, people often ask about first aid. Yes, there were small and even large first aid kits at Lowe's. The small ones were maybe about this big, and they basically came with a bunch of Band-Aids. With Gorilla Tape, in a survival situation, I can cover most of my wounds. Now, this is not going to be as sterile, maybe, with all that, adhesive on the back as a Band-Aid, but I'm talking about, being in the woods, being in a survival situation, and then getting out of there as quickly as possible. So that's why I could use this instead of Band-Aids. The larger first aid kits were, they're probably 12 inches across, 3 inches deep, and maybe 8 inches high or something like that. I mean, it's a big kit, so there's no way I could fit that again in this size container. And so that's when you got to think through, what's the cost, what's the benefit, what's the size, what's the weight, how do those put constraints on you? So that's why I didn't go with an official med kit for this kit that I put together. Now, another thing people might mention is the idea is 1 is none and 2 is 1. I agree with that most of the time. You could always throw in another small flashlight in addition to your headlamp. You could always buy another pocket knife and put it on your pocket, like put it in your pocket, and then have this in the kit. Absolutely agree with you on that front. Again, I was looking at over $100 for this. So even if I just got another flashlight and another folding knife, that probably would have cost me another, $30, $35, let's say. So all of a sudden your price starts to get up really high. And so trying to be, aware of the fact that people just can't dump a ton of money into projects like this. So that was my thought. Yes, some more cordage. Yes, another flashlight, another lighting option, I should say, another cutting tool. I agree with all those things, but at some point you reach that threshold and say, it's going to cost me a lot. Is that worth the investment? So things to think through, but yeah, if you're bringing up that point, I would say well said. I will say when it comes to the water or the container option, I was definitely up in the air. I kept going back and forth. I landed on this. If you want to make the case for getting like a Yeti tumbler or something instead, I can go with that. You could even get a Yeti tumbler and then put water in it and tape it shut with some of the Gorilla Tape if you wanted to. I went with this because I thought, again, I can't boil water in those vacuum sealed Yetis, and so I'm not getting a whole lot. And they're going to run me, this ran me a couple bucks versus paying another 25, 35 bucks maybe. So that's why I went with this. But if you're a person saying, I would have gone with a metal container, yeah, I got you. I can see why a person would think that as well. Now my plan is to make a full-fledged bug out bag from Lowe's. I did a video like that, probably 7 years ago or something like that. I actually did a Lowe's bug out bucket instead of a bag because at that point I couldn't find backpacks at Lowe's, but they now have backpacks at Lowe's. I'm going to make a full bug out bag from Lowe's, so stay tuned for that video coming up in the future. Now, part of the reason I like making videos like this is that it pushes me to really get thinking, and I hope it does the same for you too. You start to think, it would be nice to have that, but it's not totally vital, or that's something I definitely can't skimp on. I have to invest the money in that. So let's hear your thoughts as you look at this kit. Changes, addition, other items that you would add to this particular kit because of your particular environment. I'm in the Northeast. I'm thinking about the woods. I'm thinking about the winter, but maybe you're in the desert. Maybe you're in a different location, different climate, and you're thinking, here's something else I would add. I'd even be willing to, hypothetically, double up the amount of water because maybe you're located in Arizona and you're thinking about a summer survival kit. So let's get that discussion started and hear your thoughts in the comment section. All right, guys, I hope this video got you thinking because it definitely got me thinking. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Everyday Tactical Vids if you're not subscribed already. We're on all the social media platforms, so you'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and Vero as well. And as I always say, more videos are coming soon. Take care.